Namaskar, you're watching News Night, the agenda-setting primetime show on national broadcaster Doordarshan. Well, Pakistan, viewers, is on a complete back foot even after submitting its so-called compliance report for review to the Financial Action Task Force or FATF with hopes that it would see Islamabad out of the terror watchdog's grey list. Now, this comes close on the heels of FATF without naming Pakistan, making some strong observations that several terror groups continue to benefit from funds raised through illegal activities and from supporters worldwide, despite the international terror financing watchdog tightening the standards on the flow of money. And on the News Night tonight, we discuss, can Pakistan actually avoid blacklisting by FATF and also contain huge international isolation and embarrassment? I'm Sakal Bhatt, and first up on News Night tonight, here are the top stories.
Headlines is sponsored by Wonder Cement. Ek perfect shuruaat.
First up, coronavirus continues to wreak havoc in China. Death toll crosses 1,800. Chinese envoy in India says will win fight to contain deadly virus. Meanwhile, decline in number of confirmed cases outside Hubei province. Indian citizens who arrived from Wuhan in China and who were hosted at the quarantine facility have been declared fit by doctors. 358 people leave the facility. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman says government to announce measures to deal with the impact of coronavirus outbreak after meeting with the secretaries of different ministries tomorrow, if needed, on the domestic industry and exports. She also meets representatives of industries. In other news, Delhi police filed charge sheet in Jamia Violence Case, names Sharjeel Imam as instigator. 17 people arrested for inciting violence. Sharjeel Imam remanded to judicial custody till 3rd of March. External Affairs Ministry issues fresh travel advisory for Indian nationals travelling to Iraq. Says may now consider travelling to the country except 5 provinces of Nineveh, Salahuddin, Diyala, Anbar and Kirkuk in Iraq due to the prevailing security situation. And decision of FATF's plenary session on Pakistan is awaited. Reviews Islamabad efforts to fight terror financing, says terrorists continue to benefit from illegal funds. And in sports, Lionel Messi and Lewis Hamilton, joint winners of Sportsman of the Year at Laurie Awards, while Simone Biles bags the Sportswoman of the Year award. Sachin Tendulkar World Cup triumph at home in 2011 receives Best Laurie Sports Moment award.
Headlines was sponsored by Wonder Cement. Ek perfect shuruaat.
And we begin with Delhi police today filing a charge sheet in the court in connection with the 15 December violence last year that took place during a demonstration against the revised citizenship law in Delhi's Jamia New Friends Colony. And police in this connection has attached some very crucial piece of CCTV footage. Call records have been attached and also statements of more than 100 witnesses as evidence, strong evidences along with the charge sheet. The police have also maintained that a person arrested in the violence case has disclosed the name of Sharjeel Imam for inciting violence. We have a detailed report.
The Delhi police on Tuesday filed a charge sheet in the court in connection with the December 15 violence last year that took place during a demonstration against the revised citizenship law in Delhi's Jamia New Friends Colony. The Delhi police filed a charge sheet in the court of Chief Metropolitan Magistrate Gurmohina Kaur, accusing Sharjeel Imam of inciting people for violence. Police have attached CCTV footage, call records and statements of more than 100 witnesses as evidence along with the charge sheet. The police have also said that a person arrested in the violence case has disclosed the name of Sharjeel Imam for inciting violence. Apart from Sharjeel, 17 other people have been accused by the police. All these 17 people were arrested by the police in the violence case. Of these, 9 were arrested from New Friends Colony area and 8 from Jamia area. All are locals. Police have not included the name of any student in the charge sheet. Police have filed the charge sheet under sections 307, 147, 148, 149, 186, 353, 332, 427 and other sections. The charge sheet states that 95 people were injured during the violence, 47 of which are police officers. During the violence, 6 buses and 3 private vehicles were also damaged. The court has sent Sharjeel Imam, arrested in the sedition case, to judicial custody till March 3rd. Sharjeel was arrested on January 28 from Jehanabad in Bihar on charges of making inflammatory speeches in Jamia Millia Islamia. The police will also file a supplementary charge sheet in this case as the investigation is still on. According to police, it is also investigating the role of Popular Front of India. On December 15th, 4 public buses and 2 police vehicles were burnt by protesters in a clash with police at the New Friends Colony near Jamia Millia Islamia during a demonstration against the revised citizenship law. About 60 people, including students, policemen and firemen, were injured in the incident. With Neeraj Singh and Anil Punya from Delhi, Newsnight Desk, DD India.
And moving on to a quick look at this report that takes you through the numbers of Ramsar sites in India that now stands at 37. Meanwhile, Maharashtra state gets its first Ramsar site. Punjab, which already had 3 sites, have added 3 more to its list, while Uttar Pradesh with 1 Ramsar site has added 6 more. My colleagues Meghna and Tapash gets us more.
In a major recognition of the Indian government's efforts towards conservation, restoration and rejuvenation of its wetlands, Ramsar has declared 10 more wetland sites from India as sites of international importance. The Ramsar Convention, signed on the 2nd of February 1971, is one of the oldest intergovernmental accords signed by member countries to preserve the ecological character of their wetlands of international importance. The aim of the Ramsar list is to develop and maintain an international network of wetlands which are important for the conservation of global biological diversity and for sustained human life through the maintenance of their ecosystem components, processes and benefits. Wetlands declared as Ramsar sites are protected under strict guidelines of the Convention.
I am very impressed with the different meetings that I have had with the Indian government, because not only they have designated these sites, but they have put in place policies that are being implemented by the states, whereby they are giving more attention and valuing the wetlands. So they are looking at issues like the health of the different wetlands to identify where there is a need for more efforts, where, for example, there is a degradation of these wetlands, and then they know where to put the efforts, and the government is helping the states also to achieve a better management of the different types of wetlands that the states have.
With this, the number of Ramsar sites in India are now 37, and the surface area covered by these sites is now 10,67,939 hectares. Maharashtra gets its first Ramsar site, Punjab, which already had 3 Ramsar sites, adds 3 more, and Uttar Pradesh with 1 Ramsar site has added 6 more.
One important message that I heard in my meetings with the Indian government is how they are linking wetlands with water. So, for example, in the work that is being done in the Ganga River, they are considering the riverine wetlands, because these ecosystems play a role not only in conserving water, but also in managing floods, droughts, and also cleaning the water. So it's how can we see wetlands as part of larger agendas in terms of health, in terms of water, in terms of managing disasters and climate change.
Wetlands provide a wide range of important resources and ecosystem services such as food, water, fiber, groundwater recharge, water purification, flood moderation, erosion control and climate regulation. They are in fact a major source of water, and our main supply of fresh water comes from an array of wetlands which help soak rainfall and recharge groundwater. Conservation of wetlands would also go a long way in achieving RPM's dream of Nal Se Jal in each household. The centre would be working closely with the state wetland authorities to ensure wise use of these sites.
With the addition of 10 more wetlands in the country, India has taken a lead in providing refuge to such ecologically fragile species in the country. With the presidency of COP13 firmly in its grasp, the world will now look to India to provide such leadership qualities in the days to come. With cameraman Rakesh, this is Tapash Bhattacharya, DD News, Gandhinagar.
All right, let's move on now. The death toll from China's coronavirus outbreak has risen to more than 1,880, more than that perhaps today, as 98 more people have died, while the total number of confirmed cases have jumped to whopping 72,000 and more. Meanwhile, WHO has warned against blanket measures over the novel coronavirus outbreak, pointing out the epidemic outside of China was only affecting a tiny proportion. Now, of the new deaths, 93 were reported from Hubei province, which is the epicenter of the virus, 3 from Henan and 1 each from Hubei and Hunan. These are the numbers and the details according to China's National Health Commission. Back home in India, over 300 people out of total 406 were released from ITBP's quarantine facility today.
When President Xi Jinping made his first state visit this year to Myanmar and signed new infrastructure contracts, there was no indication of the obstacle about to trip up China's plan for railways, ports and highways around the world. But all thanks to coronavirus, travel restrictions to prevent the spread of the disease, which has now killed more than 1,800 people, have idled much of the world's second largest economy and choked key elements of Xi's signature Belt and Road initiative. Chinese workers cannot get to overseas projects and factories are cut off from the Chinese imports they need to keep running, according to dozen company executives and officials. One giant project, China Railway International Group's $6 billion high-speed railways in Indonesia, is on a war footing. Chinese Ambassador Sun Weidong on Tuesday asserted that China has put in place multi-level control and prevention mechanisms and will win the battle against coronavirus. The envoy said China has allocated 80 billion RMB to contain the disease and the government has sufficient resources and policy tools to cope with economic fluctuations following the epidemic. He also said the number of confirmed coronavirus cases outside Hubei province, the epicenter of the epidemic, is coming down.
Through others' efforts day and night, the epidemic is generally now under control, and the dawn has begun to appear.
The president of Wuhan's Wuchang Hospital in central China's Hubei province, Liu Ziming, died at the age of 51 from the novel coronavirus pneumonia or COVID-19 on Tuesday. Wuchang Hospital was among the first designated to treat infections related to the epidemic. Liu had led the medical staff in the fight against the virus and had made important contributions in the city's prevention and control efforts, according to the statement. In India, over 300 people out of a total of 406 were released from ITBP quarantine facility on 18th February, and the rest are likely to be released by tomorrow from ITBP Chawla Center in New Delhi. All these people have been advised to remain self-isolated for the next 14 days at their respective places. While addressing the media after meeting representatives of the industry to review the situation following the outbreak of the deadly virus in China, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said that the government will soon announce measures to deal with the impact of coronavirus outbreak on the domestic industry. She also said there were no reports of shortage of medicines or medical equipment. Instead, the pharma industry is asking for lifting of ban on exports of certain items.
With the collated issues, talking to those respective secretaries, we expect to hold a meeting at the secretary level from the various departments concerned tomorrow in the afternoon. All concerned departments would be contacted by Finance Ministry's different secretaries and the Principal Economic Advisor. The issues raised will be informed to them, and then they would apply their mind and come back tomorrow afternoon so that we talk it out among ourselves about the possible solutions that we can handle.
248 Indian citizens who arrived from Wuhan in China and were hosted at the quarantine facility established by the Indian Army near Manesar have been declared fit by a qualified team of doctors.
इन लोगों ने हमारा पूरा ख्याल रखा यहाँ पे सब कुछ यहाँ पे जो भी मिला वो फ्री ही था तो हमें कुछ पे करना नहीं पड़ा तो इन्होंने हमारा पूरा ख्याल रखा यहाँ पे
हम लोग का फर्स्ट डे से ही मेडिकल चेकअप वगैरह होता रहा अगर किसी में कोई प्रॉब्लम थी तो उससे मतलब हॉस्पिटल भी लिया गया है काफ़ी बारी बट ऑलमोस्ट सबके टेस्ट नेगेटिव ही आए हैं
Meanwhile, Singapore Airlines Limited will temporarily cut flights across its global network in the 3 months to May, it said on 18th February, as the coronavirus epidemic hits demand for services to the Asian city-state as well as to the key transit hub. The key affected destinations include Frankfurt, Jakarta, London, Los Angeles, Mumbai, Paris, Seoul, Sydney and Tokyo. Japan plans to trial HIV medications to treat patients infected with coronavirus as the growing number of cases pose an increasing threat to the country's economy as well as public health. With inputs from Dheeraj, Nitendra and Sudhakar, News Night Desk, DD India.
Let's move on to our lead story now. The decision of the FATF's or Financial Action Task Force plenary session on whether to retain Pakistan on its grey list of countries of concern or perhaps downgrade it to its blacklist for non-compliance or let it off for progress shown will be finalized on Friday, probably at the end of the session. But nevertheless, it has generated a lot of buzz vis-a-vis Pakistan's global image as a terror state. Now, at the last meeting of the Asia-Pacific Group in Beijing, last November, Pakistan had been judged as having cleared 14 of the 27-point action plan checklist. It was given by the group on countering terror financing and also black money laundering. Now, this time around again, India hopes to highlight the unfinished items on Pakistan's agenda, as well as government's claimed inability to track United Nations Security Council designated terrorists. Jaish-e-Mohammed Chief Maulana Masood Azhar and 2611 Lashkar-e-Toiba Operations Chief Zakirur Rahman Lakhvi, as India seeks to push for more stringent action against Pakistan. Now, this comes also amidst Turkey and Malaysia, who have gone public on their plans to back Pakistan instead of going by the regulations of the FATF that evaluates countries on the basis of technical parameters and also maintains confidential proceedings. India at the same time hopes to highlight the unfinished items on Pakistan's agenda, as well as government's claimed inability to track United Nations Security Council designated terrorists Jaish-e-Mohammed's Maulana Masood Azhar and LET's Chief Zakirur Rahman Lakhvi, as India seeks to push for more stringent actions. And we also tell our viewers now FATF works on a system of consensus, and 3 countries, namely China, Turkey and Malaysia, are also expected to veto an attempt to blacklist Pakistan at this juncture, as claimed by certain sections of international media. And now let's before we discuss in depth what could be the outcome of this FATF plenary, which ends this Friday, we have prepared this detailed explainer for our viewers as far as the deadlines given to Pakistan prior to this by FATF. It started in October 2019, where Asia-Pacific Group of Financial Action Task Force slammed Islamabad for not taking sufficient action against individuals and entities associated with terror groups. And then if you go a little more back, in October 2018, it maintained that it was not very impressed with the way Pakistan tried to show the world that they're trying to combat terror financing. FATF in that situation pulled Pakistan for not actually strengthening its legal framework. And going back to June 2018, now FATF at that point in time had placed Pakistan in its grey list in June 2018, and it asked Pakistan that it has to crack down on the terror groups, and Pakistan did not walk the talk. And let's go a little more back. February 2012 is when Pakistan was previously also placed on the FATF's grey list. It had been removed from the grey list in February 2015 after it passed its National Action Plan, or NAP, that's what they call it, to deal with terror, after the Peshawar school massacre in December 2014 grabbed international headlines. And then in 2008, between 2008 to 2012, this is what happened. It was placed, Pakistan was placed under severe restrictions in the years between 2008 and 2012. But what really moved after that? That's the big question. And let's also now talk about what is FATF really, to understand why is it important, and is it really important, consequential perhaps. FATF actually is an independent intergovernmental body that develops plans and policies to protect global financial systems. Well, that's on paper, but it cannot, remember, advise the advices regarding the credentials or works of any associations whatsoever. FATF has also now started dealing with the virtual currency besides terror. Now, FATF is this international policy making body, but at the same time, it does not have any role in law enforcement matters. That means it doesn't have more powers or teeth when it comes to investigations or prosecutions. Now, there has always been this talk about blacklist and grey list. Let's first tell our viewers, before we get into discussion, what actually is a blacklist? What do we understand? Now, FATF considers as uncooperative tax havens for terror fundings. These nations could be part of the blacklist. These countries are known for their non-compliance or non-cooperative countries. That's what they call. These are the countries that could fall in blacklist. The FATF blacklist, or they also call it OECD blacklist. This has been issued by the Financial Action Task Force since 2000, way back in 2000, and these in fact list countries which, according to FATF, they are non-cooperative in their so-called global fight against money laundering or terror funding for that matter. And also FATF updates this so-called blacklist regularly. It may add the names or delete the names. Let's now move on and talk about what really constitutes grey list. How is grey list different than blacklist? Now, in grey list, you have countries which, again, according to FATF, are not safe havens for supporting terror funding or money laundering. The inclusion in the grey list is not as severe as that of blacklist. Well, on paper again. Now, grey list is a warning given to the country, and if a country is unable to curb the mushrooming of the terror funding or money laundering, it is shifted from grey to blacklist. Economic sanctions from organizations, international organizations like International Monetary Fund, World Bank, Asia Development Bank, etc. All these come in this ambit of grey list. The problem in getting loans can also be, from International Monetary Fund, World Bank, ADB, and if you are part of that grey list, this could be an issue here. Overall, the reduction in its international trade is something which any country which comes under the ambit of grey list could be one of the consequences, and also it could also stare at an international boycott. And at this juncture, as we have given you a detailed explainer between the differences between the grey and the blacklist, but the larger question is what happens now despite stern warnings issued to Pakistan by FATF in the recent past. We also showed you the detailed dateline. When we come back, we have a distinguished panel on our show tonight on Newsnight. We'll take this discussion forward. Is Pakistan once again exposed when it comes to its sham of an action against crackdown on terror? That after the break. Stay with us. So in focus tonight, we'll discuss in detail the FATF crackdown on Pakistan-sponsored terror. Well, whether it's now going to be dropped or shifted from grey list to blacklist. Having said that, Pakistan's sham of an action on terror that continues. And on the show, we have senior diplomat, former diplomat S.R. Tayal joining us in our Newsnight studio. Also, Major General Dhruv C. Kato joining us on the show. Very, very glad to have both of you gentlemen on the show. And in a while from now, we'll be also having Lieutenant General Satish Dua joining us live in a bit. But I'm going to quickly open this part of the discussion, coming to you, Ambassador Tayal. Now, a quick backgrounder. When I ask backgrounder, I mean the actions that have been taken, so-called actions or warnings. There has never been an action. FATF has also issued stern warnings, quote unquote, but the things haven't really moved so far. Do you think this plenary session could have some sort of out-of-the-box outcome? Why I'm asking you this is because there's already a buzz that there could be a status quo and Pakistan might manage to stay in grey list and it may not be dropped to blacklist from here on, considering the kind of reactions that we are recently getting from countries like US and China.
See, Pakistan was placed in the grey list of Financial Action Task Force this round in June 2018. And it was given 27 parameters on which it was supposed to comply and make sure that there is no terror financing, money laundering, etc. from Pakistan. As we all know, Pakistan has been using terrorism as an instrument of foreign policies.
Why can't FATF understand this?
And FATF has to go by some action. Pakistan has been claiming that it has taken action, but it has not taken any action which is decisive, because it is not sincere and all its measures are half-hearted. Last year October, when there was a review, the assessment of FATF, a subgroup, was that only 5 out of 27 those parameters Pakistan has had complied. Now Pakistan is claiming that they have submitted a report in this Paris committee meeting that they have complied on 14 out of 27 parameters. But it is all very insincere, it is all very shallow, because only 4 days before this meeting they have finally convicted Hafiz Saeed, who is a designated UN terrorist, who has a $10 million bounty on his head against Pakistan by United States. There are 16 UN designated terrorists operating in Pakistan, and Pakistan has done nothing against them. Hafiz Saeed, now they say, is missing. So the international community has to fully understand.
But I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you. We are also joined by Lieutenant General Dua. Lieutenant General Dua, very quickly, when a country says, and when a country has been issued numerous times warnings, even if it's that grey list warning, that we are unable to track UN Security Council designated terrorists. We can't help it. We are helpless. And then there are some unconfirmed reports wherein some parts of the media there claim that he wasn't untraceable. He is pretty much there in Pakistan. Is it so difficult, sir, for FATF to nail Pakistan and to understand what's going on there?
Not really. We all understand what's going on. What has happened is that Pakistan makes some insincere sort of attempts, like Majdail just pointed out, and there are countries which are actually supporting Pakistan, and you also listed them out.
Yes.
Pakistan, for Pakistan, these terrorists or terrorist groups are their creation, they are their strategic assets, so they are not going to give them up so easily. While today a situation, or the economic situation in the country forces them to not remain in the grey list if possible, but certainly not get into the blacklist of FATF, because they need money from the world bodies like IMF and World Bank. So there is this tussle where the Pakistan army in any case has a total control, or has a total lever on where these people are or should be. It is quite a sham that they say that they cannot find a person, or they cannot nail a person down.
Okay, having said that, I'm coming to you, sir. When US says that they have been pleased to see the progress by Pakistan towards fulfilling FATF obligation, that plus the indication coming from China, that plus what Malaysia and Turkey have said, though we've given a befitting response to Turkey on Kashmir and Article 370, that should be none of their business. But then when all this is happening on the sidelines, is this of any consequence, really speaking, when it comes to the constitution of FATF?
No, basically I think what Pakistan is trying to do is they are trying to get out of the grey list. What we need to do is to get them onto the
blacklist, which they rightly deserve.
What we need to do is to actually get them on the blacklist, because that is where they deserve to be.
Yes,
but that is not going to happen.
Okay.
That is not going to happen because they have attempted to take action. Now, how sincere that action is for them to convince the world body. As per the Pakistani media today, when you read the Dawn or the news from Pakistan, they have claimed that action has been taken on a very large number of points which have been mandated by the FATF. Now, how much of that is actually going to get verified? Because anything, just because Pakistan claims it, doesn't mean it will be accepted by the world body. They will examine that evidence, and I do not think that much of that evidence is going to be will pass scrutiny, but there will be something which will pass scrutiny. So to some extent, I think Pakistan will be in a position to show progress. Now, I don't think with that the world body will put them into the blacklist, because even if they attempt to put them in the blacklist, the 3 countries vote, they just need 3 votes to stay out of that, and they have those 3. China, Malaysia and Turkey have actually stated.
So should India concede it? Will India not push for it? And India is pushing for it.
No, India will push for it. In fact, we have got Pakistan to this state. It is basically because of Indian pressure.
Yes,
had this pressure not been there, Pakistan wouldn't have been on the grey list at all. So they are on the grey list because of Indian pressure. All that I'm saying is, despite the pressure India puts, getting them on the blacklist is going to be a very difficult task unless one of these 3 countries changes tack. And I don't think any of these 3 countries is going to change track. So they will see that Pakistan remains out.
So are we going to, Ambassador Tayar, rely on these 3 countries? These 3 countries who are backing terror state like Pakistan, because as Lieutenant General Satish Dua rightly pointed out at the very onset of this discussion, that the world knows what's happening. Forget FATF. Everyone knows what's happening in Pakistan.
You see, this is then part of becomes the larger question of our bilateral relations with these countries bilateral relations with Pakistan. So this is a very larger issue, and we have to be realistic and only strive for that which is achievable. We should not spend too much of diplomatic effort in something which is not going to happen. China, Malaysia and Turkey have very openly supported Pakistan.
Absolutely.
And will continue to support Pakistan, so we should accept it and deal with it in future.
How should
but
we deal?
12 out of 39 countries, if they ask, then Pakistan can get out of the grey list. Out of 39 members, only 12, if they say that Pakistan should get out of grey list, that Pakistan escape. So that is where our focus should be, that Pakistan should not be able to get those 12 votes. 3 are already there. 9 more, because whatever little action Pakistan has taken against Hafiz Saeed, etc., is only because of FATF pressure. And if it is removed from the grey list, then all that gain will be lost.
That's a very
Pakistan will revert to its bad old ways.
Let me take this point to Lieutenant General Dua, sir. Do you agree? And if yes, what should be India's endeavour here? What are the areas where we should be pressing? And I'm sure at that diplomatic level, there has been some intervention. There will be some intervention at FATF in this plenary session.
As I see it, as of now, in the last year and a half, it's quite a fixed match. That means we know what's going to happen. We know that 3 countries that are required to keep it afloat, at least in the grey list, Pakistan has those 3 votes. For Pakistan, when they show compliance with more and more conditions, it's only a situation of trying to better it. That means they're not slipping into a blacklist, but they try to get out of the grey list. And as Ambassador Tayal rightly said, India will also have to draw its balance as to how much energy it wants to invest in pushing this forward. Nevertheless, a larger point is also being made. The world body is actually discussing that Pakistan is sponsoring terrorism. This is being discussed openly, which is a big plus in the last decade or so. Second thing is that it also brings to bear certain amount of pressure on Pakistan, an intangible pressure away from the fact of the FATF list. So I think we are achieving some intangible gains anyway in the diplomatic field.
Do you agree, Major General Katoch, here?
Yes, I think that is right. You know, the question is that we want to put them onto the blacklist because the blacklist will hurt them far more than what the grey list will.
No, but you know, my question, sir, sorry, I'm interrupting you. Lieutenant General Dua said, you know, it's a fixed match. And then if it is a fixed match, assuming that it is a fixed match, what should India's
No, I really won't use the word a fixed match, you see. It is a question of getting support from a few countries, right? I think when you're looking at the group of countries which comprise the FATF, it is their credibility also at stake. So nobody, at least the majority of the countries, are not going to do something simply based on likes and dislikes. Here we have got a very simple axis developing. When you're looking at Turkey and Malaysia, they have got certain interests where both Turkey and Malaysia are trying to get onto control over the Islamic organization of Islamic countries. And China, of course, has got its own interest in containing India. So these 3 countries and Pakistan remain central to both their aims. Their aims are divergent, but ultimately India is a target in both. So I don't see any change in that. But you see, the other countries there, they are not going to let their credibility erode, because when this conference is held, there is very concrete evidence which is provided. And once this concrete evidence is provided and there is proof of compliance or otherwise, I don't think people are going to sell their conscience that easily. So at some point of time, I think honesty will prevail. Though in this particular case, I do not see Pakistan getting onto the blacklist.
And if Pakistan at this stage, Ambassador Tayal, is not getting onto the blacklist, assuming, because the Friday is the time, I mean, we'll have to wait till we get an official line. In terms of global isolation, sir, in terms of international embarrassment, like Satish Dua sir also pointed out that the world knows what's happening there, post Pulwama especially, and Balakot.
See, we have to look at it in the FATF context, and there the pressure on Pakistan should continue. The pressure should be relentless by the international community so that the terror financing part at least is contained, is stopped, and Pakistan will not do it, so that pressure must continue. Then of course Pakistan is now very well known all over the world. The way FATF it is being considered again and again, it continues to be in the grey list. So Pakistan's reputation is mud, but we have to realize that Pakistan is not isolated. Pakistan has strong backers like China, Malaysia and Turkey and maybe some others who have their own axe to grind, who have their own reasons. So we have to be very careful, we have to be very realistic, and we have to set goals for every organization, whether it is FATF, whether it is United Nations, whether it is G20, and try to corner Pakistan in different ways, in different organizations, and convince our friends, and because they are also suffering. After all, terrorist incidents are taking place in UK, in France, in US, all over the world, in Russia, even in China. China is blind to it.
Okay.
But we have to make a common cause and point out, give hard evidence how the center of all these terrorist activities, fundamentalism, is of Pak region, and Pakistan is the source of it, is the originator of it, and we have lot of understanding, but we have to continue on this path of convincing our friends that continue the pressure on Pakistan, otherwise it will go back to its old ways.
Continue the pressure on Pakistan, or perhaps continue the pressure on FATF? Lieutenant General Dua, closing remarks from you. And for India at FATF specifically, I'm talking about India at FATF, what should be the template like now? Because if we look at it as a diplomatic win, the fact that we have managed to push Pakistan at this particular grey list despite stern warnings and reminders coming from FATF, whether it goes to black or not, but then what should be the template, and do you think this has been also because India could manage a big diplomatic pressure at that level? Lieutenant General Dua.
First, yes, thank you. First, may I just clarify, when I said fixed match, what I meant was that there are 3 countries, the safety net that Pakistan has, they know that they're not slipping into the blacklist. We are not going to be able to muster up 12 countries which want to put Pakistan there.
Yes.
Having said that, to respond to your question, like we already discussed over and over again, that Pakistan is in grey list. It is not likely to slip into the blacklist because of the safety net that we've discussed of 3 countries, which we know they're not going to Pakistan let slip there. But we need to present our evidence. We need to make sure that our facts are presented in an irrefutable, that the other countries find it irrefutable, and thereafter, if they continue to have to support Pakistan, it is only because that these 3 countries would be voting in Pakistan's favor. So whether or not Pakistan goes into blacklist, firstly, it should stay in the grey list. We have to ensure that. And secondly, others should know it is only for a matter of procedure and is not for lack of any hard evidence that Pakistan is supporting terrorism and terror financing in a very big and organized way.
Right. Well, the decision on that is awaited till Friday. We'll have to see what action or position FATF really takes on this. Meanwhile, many thanks, gentlemen. Very glad to have all of you, our distinguished panel, Ambassador Tayal, Major General Dhruv C. Katoch, and also Lieutenant General Satish Dua for joining us on the News Night tonight. Thank you. Well, moving on, President Donald Trump will be in India on his first bilateral visit from 24th of February. Prime Minister Modi will be hosting him at New Delhi and Ahmedabad over the two-day visit. And from Howdy Modi in Houston to Namaste Trump in Ahmedabad, the bonhomie between President Trump and Prime Minister will add another leaf to Indo-US ties. We have this special report.
He's a friend of mine. He's a great gentleman, and I look forward to going to India, so we'll be going at the end of the month.
President Trump reciprocating India's Namaste Trump call. This will be his first bilateral visit to India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will host President Trump in Ahmedabad as well as New Delhi on the 24th and 25th of February. The two leaders have spoken twice over the phone in 2020.
I just spoke with Prime Minister Modi, and it's going to be I don't know who's going, but he said we will have millions and millions of people. My only problem is, so last night we probably had 40 or 50,000 people, far more than anyone else, but when we have 50,000 people nowadays, fellas, I'm not going to feel so good, because he thinks we'll have 5 to 7 million people just from the airport to the new stadium.
Over the past 3 years, President Trump and Prime Minister Modi have developed a personal rapport and met 4 times in 2019, including the historic joint address before a strong 50,000 crowd of Indian Americans at the Howdy Modi event in Houston.
It is my honor and privilege to welcome here Mr. Donald Trump. This is extraordinary. This is unprecedented. I present to you my friend, a friend of India, a great American president, Mr. Donald Trump.
Like the Howdy Modi event in Houston, Namaste Trump event will be held at the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel Stadium or Motera Stadium after it is inaugurated by the US President on February 24th. Being built at an estimated cost of $100 million, the Motera Stadium, with a seating capacity of 110,000 spectators, will be the world's largest cricket stadium, overtaking the Melbourne Cricket Ground in Australia. A visit to the Sabarmati Ashram is also likely.
हमको बहुत ही आनंद है कि डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प जी भी यहाँ पधार रहे हैं और उनका अच्छे से स्वागत भी करेंगे आंटी पहनाकर.
On his first trip to the US in his second term as Prime Minister, Narendra Modi was in the US between 21st to 27th September 2019. Apart from addressing the annual UN General Assembly session, the Prime Minister held a bilateral meeting with President Trump.
Because the two leaders pull on so well together, which is very rare actually when you're looking into leaders of such different countries and such different capacities and such different mindsets, but they are totally at ease with each other, and I think that's a very important component. Sure. The second thing, I think it'll do wonders for both the countries. I mean, we are natural allies. We are democracies. Our people like each other. You know, and I think that's something which we need to build on.
The highlight of this visit was, of course, the Howdy Modi event in Houston. It was one of the largest ever receptions of a foreign leader in the United States. Addressing the gathering, PM Modi had hit out at Pakistan for its support to terrorism and said that India's decision to nullify Article 370 has caused trouble to those who cannot handle their own country. President Trump, on his part, vowed to protect innocent civilians from the threat of radical Islamist terrorism. From a trade deal to enhancing strategic ties and the people-to-people connect, President Trump's maiden bilateral visit to India is likely to be high on both optics and outcomes.
There are increasing convergences between India and the US and a broad basis for the relationship. So that helps the leaders also to build a closer relationship. I think President Trump is going into an election year, so some of the public events will clearly be also with a mind to his domestic constituency and how it plays out in the US.
I think two areas where they converge is, one is in the Indo-Pacific, as far as we are concerned, really the Indian Ocean region. And the second is on counter-terrorism. Now, there are two absolute convergent areas where the two countries are destined to cooperate, and I think we are going to see some movement here when the talks take place.
And of course, the personal rapport between the two leaders will be there for all to see. Bureau Report, DD News.
Well, we of course will be continuing with a special coverage and reportage on that big story of for the coming few weeks and days, of course. Perhaps let's move on and get you more on Newsnight. A great day. It was definitely a great day for DD News, which has given again proved that when it comes to excellence in the world of media, it is always on the top. Excellence Award was conferred on DD News by the country's top private industry, Amity University. The award was received by Director General DD News, Mr. Mayank Kumar Agarwal, at the Amity University's Noida campus today. Top diplomats from across the world were honoured for their exemplary role in the field of education and media. In fact, now let's move on and get you a quick roundup of what else is happening across the country.
Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath said that the Uttar Pradesh budget for 2021 is historic and will play a big role in making the state a $1 trillion economy. The Chief Minister said, though it focused on the overall development of the state, special attention has been paid to the growth of youth and boost employment. Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray today clarified that his government has no issues in implementing National Population Register as it is a part of the census. Addressing a press conference in Sindhudurg district, Thackeray clarified that the Citizenship Amendment Act CAA, National Registrar of Citizens NRC and NPR are three totally different issues. Delhi's Indira Gandhi International Airport has become free of single-use plastic usage. The Confederation of Indian Industry, ITC Center of Excellence for Sustainable Development that supports the business community towards achieving sustainability, has certified DIAL for its successful voluntary implementation of single-use plastic-free airport measures within IGI Airports operations. Union Minister Piyush Goyal slammed the move to adopt an anti-CAA resolution in the Telangana Assembly. Goyal said that the issue should not be politicized on petty political grounds and asked the state government to drop it. The Meteorological Department has predicted rain, snowfall in Himachal Pradesh over the next few days. According to the Meteorological Center, snowfall, rain may occur at some places in the middle high hills.
And after regional roundup, a quick look at what else is making to the top stories across the world.
Russian and Syrian government airstrikes hit Darat Izza near the Turkish border about 30 km north of Aleppo city. One of the hospitals suffered heavy damage, with several left wounded. The Syrian army has taken full control of dozens of towns in Aleppo's northwestern countryside, and it would press on with its campaign to wipe out militant groups wherever they are found. Storm Dennis has triggered more severe flood warnings in parts of the United Kingdom. In Hertfordshire, the River Wye has risen to its highest level on record. Roads and railways are badly affected by the downpours and winds. A division among French lawmakers became apparent in Parliament as the controversial pension reform bill that provoked massive transport strikes and regular protests reached the National Assembly floor. Unions marched in Paris, saying the reform would also hurt country's job market. Floodwaters in central Mississippi appear to hit their peak potentially, allowing the area around the state capital, Jackson, to avoid any casualties after the Pearl River reached its highest level in 37 years. Angry protesters in the Haitian capital Port-au-Prince set carnival stands on fire as anti-government protests spilled over in the restive Caribbean nation. The wooden stands in the Champ de Mars were set alight by citizens critical of the government of the president Jovenel Moise. The protesters are against the government's budget for the 2020 Carnival celebrations, arguing that the money could have been better spent in the impoverished nation. HSBC Holdings PLC has said that it would shed $100 billion in assets, shrink its investment bank and revamp its US and European businesses in a drastic overhaul that will mean 35,000 jobs cut over 3 years. February 2020 marks the 75th anniversary of the Battle of Iwo Jima, one of the bloodiest fighting during World War II, which claimed the lives of nearly 7,000 US Marines and about 21,000 Japanese defenders died on a small Japanese island. US Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders stepped up his attacks on former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg during a campaign rally in Tacoma, Washington, by attacking Donald Trump and saying that both of them are billionaires and are trying to use their wealth to bend a corrupt political system. Jeff Bezos, founder and CEO of Amazon and the world's richest man, has said that he is committing $10 billion to a new fund to tackle climate change. In an Instagram post, the e-commerce tycoon said the Bezos Earth Fund would fund scientists, activists, NGOs, any effort that offers a real possibility to help preserve and protect the natural world.
Back home, taking cue from Prime Minister Narendra Modi's ambitious Namami Gange plan, villagers of Kodayala in Karnataka have pledged to clean Tungabhadra River, which is the source of water for hundreds of villages in Haveri district. This is the story.
On one side of the river, one can see loads of plastic, and on the other side, hundreds of students trying to clean up the river. This is from Kodayala village in Ranibenur Taluk of Haveri district in Karnataka. Tungabhadra River is the source of water for hundreds of villages in Haveri district for both drinking purpose as well as for irrigation. Kodayala Gram Panchayat, taking cue from Prime Minister Narendra Modi's ambitious Namami Ganga plan, has started Namami Tunga project to clean up the river stretch in their village. Every Saturday, Shram Dhan is undertaken under the banner Namami Tunga. Several Anganwadi workers, Asha workers and school children can be seen participating in this program. One of the students, Sudev, believed that the river is getting polluted because of plastic and sewage waste, which needs to be stopped to prevent diseases from spreading.
River is an important source for us to drinking water, and it's also an important source for agriculture nearby surroundings. And if we use polluted water for drinking and using for agriculture, we also are affecting for us. So for animals also it is getting affected. So to avoid this all, we should all clean our surroundings, and we should avoid these all pollutions. These days we are doing this campaign under the slogan Swachh Bharat, and this is a very good encouraging for all that we should always clean our natural resources and save it for the future for other peoples.
Children and teachers are participating in the Shram Dham enthusiastically with the motive to clean the river. Already 2 kilometers of the river stretch has been cleaned up because of the voluntary services of children, Asha worker and villagers. Zilla Panchayat member Mangala Gauri appealed all to join the movement in saving the Tunga River. It is commendable that efforts are being made at village level to protect environment and save the river from continuous pollution. Bureau Report, TD News.
And finally, well, Soil Health Card scheme has been launched to assess the nutritional status of soil in every farm in the country. This was launched way back in 2015, and this ambitious Soil Health Card scheme now completes 5 successful years. The study done by the National Productivity Council on sample size of some 1,700 farmers in 76 districts of 19 states, particularly on the usage of Soil Health Card, has yielded great results. Here's a comprehensive report.
Farmers in India contribute majorly in the economy. Our survival is dependent on them. The centre has taken numerous steps to ensure their welfare by making them tech-friendly. This move has yielded positive results, and the farmers are a happy lot today. The onus on the transformation of rural sector in the country lies on the Soil Health Card scheme, which was started to assess the nutritional status of the soil in every farm in the country. Launched in 2015, the ambitious Soil Health Card scheme completes 5 successful years. Using science and technology, soil health is tested, and the farmers accordingly opt for the crop that would result in productive yield at low costs. Under the scheme, 13 crore 53 lakh soil health cards have been issued so far. The farmers have progressed considerably through the scheme and are thankful to the government for same.
जैसे ये योजना गवर्नमेंट ने चालू करी, हमारे गांव में तो लगभग कोई बच ही नहीं रहा किसान जिसकी मिट्टी की जांच न हुई हो। उसके बाद में हमारे यहाँ सबसे ज़्यादा मिट्टी में जो कमी मिली वो यूरिया की मात्रा ज़्यादा थी,
हमारे यहाँ जितनी भी मिट्टी चेक हुई इनमें सब में पोटास की कमी आई हर खेत में। तो मिट्टी चेक होने के उससे इन्होंने बताया, फिर उसी हिसाब से पोटास डाल रहे इसमें, यूरिया की मात्रा घटेगी।
According to the study done by National Productivity Council on 1,700 farmers in 76 districts of 19 states, usage of soil health card has led to decline in usage of chemical fertilizers and increase in crop produce at the same time. Usage of soil health card has led to 10 to 20% increase in crop yield, 10 to 30% increase of pulses yield, 40% increase in oil seeds, and 10 to 20% increase in cotton yield. Cultivation of crops like paddy, tur, potato, sunflower have led to manifold increase in the income of the farmers. The statistical data clearly shows that soil health card scheme is not only proving to be a blessing for the farmers as it has enhanced their incomes, but is also proving to be a milestone for Modi government that aims to double the farmers' income by 2022. With inputs from Anuj Yadav, Newsnight Desk, DD India.
And the 70th edition of the Berlin presents a new management duo, new series and many new competitions. Beginning on February 20th, the German capital is going to be caught up in 10 days of absolute film fever. Here's what you need to know. And also, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will be inaugurating the Indian pavilion of the 70th Berlin Festival on Thursday. That's going to be after tomorrow. This year, 3 Indian feature films and 1 short documentary will be selected for this Berlin Film Festival.
The Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Government of India, in collaboration with Confederation of Indian Industry, CII, is participating in the 70th Berlin International Film Festival that starts from 20th February till 1st of March 2020. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will inaugurate Indian Pavilion at 70th edition of Berlinale. Indian Pavilion will provide a platform to popularize Indian cinema in the overseas market and facilitate new business opportunities. This year in Berlin, 3 Indian feature films as well as 1 short documentary film have been selected, namely Pushpender Singh's Laila Aur Saath Geet, Pratik Vats Abe Ale O, Akshay Indikar's Sthal Puran, Chronicle of Space, are the part of prestigious Berlin Film Festival that will be screened in Panorama section and Ekta Mittal's short documentary Gumnaam Din. India seeks to promote its films across linguistic, cultural and regional diversity. It aims to establish multiple international collaborations in the space of distribution, production, filming in India and script development technology through its participation at Berlinale 2020. The Indian delegation through Charchaon ke Zariye will promote and provide the ease of shooting films in India through the Office of Film Facilitations FFO, which facilitates single window clearance for filmmakers and a platform for cinematic tourism in India. The delegation will showcase India as a post-production hub and promote collaboration for films with international production houses. The audiovisual services sector has been recognized as one of the champion services sectors by the Government of India with an aim to promote India as a leading destination source for media and entertainment. The government delegation to Berlinale will facilitate international participation for the 51st edition of International Film Festival of India, IFFI 2020 Goa. Apart from this, the delegation and several countries will hold meetings with the officials of the countries. Newsnight Desk, DT India.
And with that, it's time to wrap up this edition of News 99. Thank you very much for tuning in. Namaskar.